Okay, here we go. Scary Mark, doing the first installment on the essentials. And the first one is on Nichiren Daishonin, the Votary of the Lotus Sutra. So I'm thinking about how to do this, and each session will be, hopefully I'll be able to do this every week. There's a lot of material to cover, as you know, the essentials exam is in April. And there's a lot of material to cover, so I'm going to do my best to do this every week. And I'm starting early because there's a lot of material to cover. So I want to start out by saying I wanted to read this quote, and it's from a book called Mindsight by Daniel Siegel, MD. He's a psychologist, and it's about how to master your mind. It's very, very Buddhist, and it's just an amazing book. Anyway, this is a quote that I wanted to kick off this session with, and it goes like this. In 1950, Albert Einstein received a letter from a rabbi who had lost one of his two daughters, to an accidental death. What wisdom could he offer, the rabbi asked, to help his remaining daughter as she mourned her sister? Here is what Einstein replied. A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but the striving for such achievement is in itself a part of the liberation and a foundation for inner security. Doesn't that sound like, what we're all trying to do? I love it when Nichiren's teachings resonate in other works that I read. Okay, so this is the first installment on the essentials, and it's called Nichiren Daishonin, the Votary of the Lotus Sutra. It can be found in the Living Buddhism for, July, August. And I thought, I gave some thought. So these sessions are going to be 10 to 15 minutes each. And I thought about how I was going to do this. And I'm going through this a second time now, the material. And every paragraph has really stuff that I want to underline. And so I thought the best way to do this is to just read it and share my thoughts with you about it if I have any, or otherwise just keep reading. You feel free to email me or participate, or we'll figure out a way to turn this into a dialogue. Okay, so this is on page 85 of that Living Buddhism. Nichiren Daishonin, the Votary of the Lotus Sutra. Nichiren dedicated his life to establishing a Buddhist teaching accessible to all people, one that would last far into the future, a teaching capable of leading all humanity from hopelessness and misery to genuine happiness. He proclaimed the supremacy of the Lotus Sutra, which teaches that every human being possesses the precious and most respect-worthy state of life called Buddhahood. And he established the practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, the fundamental law of the universe, as the means for all people to access their inherent life state of Buddhahood. So here you see that Nichiren is all about the emancipation of every living human being. He was, very passionate about this. He wanted to empower every human being to establish an unshakable state of happiness in their lives. Buddhism had long predicted that conflict and confusion would arise among practitioners during the age the sutras described as the latter day of the law, the age in which the Daishonin lived. Regarding this period, Nichiren often quoted Shakyamuni Buddha in a passage from the Great Collection Sutra, quote, "Quarrels and disputes will arise among the adherents to my teachings, and the pure law will become obscured and lost." Unquote. That's from the Selection of the Time, the Writings of Nichiren Daishonin, Volume 1, page 541. It was clear to Nichiren from this and other sutra passages that by the latter day, the Buddhist teachings had become corrupted and could no longer relieve the people's sufferings. And in case any of you are wondering, we're also in the latter day of the law. With this conviction, Nichiren commenced his practice of Shakabuku. The propagation of his teaching aimed at breaking through the people's strongly held delusions and enabling them to recognize and believe in the most fundamental of all principles, the mystic law. His efforts provoked an intense reaction. He was slandered and defamed by the public and severely persecuted by political authorities, who exiled and nearly executed him. Nichiren's immense compassion and vow to remove the suffering of all humanity, however, served as his motivation to persevere in the face of these persecutions. So, Nichiren's conviction and his mission is what gave him the strength to withstand these, severe opposition, severe headwinds. And so, whenever I study Buddhism, I always ask myself, well, what lesson is it in it for me? And of course, the lesson in it for me as an individual is to be able to develop a state where I'm not shaken by criticism that's, some criticism is, if it's coming from the right place, a place where, someone wants to help me or wants to help me grow, then that kind of criticism I welcome because it's coming from a place of compassion designed to help me grow. And there's other kinds of criticism that's coming from a place of jealousy or coming from a place, wanting to destroy me. And I got to tell you, my initial reaction to these kinds of things is to become very, very upset and very, very sad, very, very angry. And I just get whipsawed by this stuff all the time. Even after, 30 years of practice, one would think that I wouldn't, but this is a real battle of the times for me. And so I think it's quite timely, on a very personal level that, I'm studying these teachings once again, and learning from Nichiren's example. Nichiren had such a strong conviction in his mission that he was unstoppable. He had a strong conviction in himself and his worth as a human being. So, it didn't matter, if people said really bad things about him or defamed his reputation. He just kept going. He was like the ever-ready Energizer bunny. And the batteries, the juice, of course, were his conviction and the teachings of the Lotus Sutra, as he interpreted them to be. So I think that's the lesson for us, is to develop that state of mind. And the body of his work, if we really study it and apply it, really helps us to do that. I'm firmly convinced as well that studying other bodies of work that help to resonate Nichiren's teachings also help us to develop the perspective, or maybe give us the tools that help us to put Nichiren's teachings into practice. Of course, attending meetings and sharing our experiences with other Buddhist members and encouraging each other, of course, are one of the pillars of our practice. Okay, so that's the first section of this article, Nichiren, the Votary of the Lotus Sutra. And I'm going to stop now. Each article is broken into different sections, and we've been going on for close to 10 minutes now, so I think this is long enough, and I'll pick up the next section, next week, and we'll do this again next week, hopefully. Okay? All right, and I'll set up a channel on YouTube at some point, with all the essentials video. They're all tagged with, tags like essentials and Nichiren Buddhism, and, of course, you can look me up on YouTube if you lose the link. It's GaryMMark@gmail.com. Okay? All right, then. Talk to you later, and happy practice. Okay. Bye now.